Welcome to the home of scary stories, where we bring you the very best in not only British ghost stories, but ghostly sightings from around the world. If, like me, you are quite partial to a scary story of terrifying ghostly sightings, you are in the right place. And today's scary story is of a young girl who went by the name of Mary Clarke, and who sadly met her untimely death by way of a terrible accident and in the most horrific of circumstances. Her story is not only one that is horrifically chilling, but also extremely sad. This story is not for the faint-hearted. Now, there is a street by the name of Grape Lane, which is located in the town centre of Whitby, North Yorkshire, which is on the east coast of England. Now, Grape Lane is one of the most famous streets in Whitby, and for very good reason. The narrow lane, which was unlit back in the 1900s, used to be known as Grope Lane, due to its reputation as being an area frequented by prostitutes. Now, Mary, who was born in Whitby, was easily recognised by the locals, as she had the most beautiful long blonde hair that shone like gold in the sun. Mary's mother, Edith, loved her daughter's hair and would use drops of liquid bandoline on it every morning in the preparation for when she got older, in the hope that she would find a charming gentleman to marry. Mary, although extremely fond of her mother, completely idolised her father, and on one cold October morning was heading to the local baker's on Grape Lane to heat up her father's dinner, as she often did. Mr. Carter, the baker, who knew Mary, as she would bring her father's dinner to be heated up twice a week without fail, allowed Mary, on this occasion, to put her father's dinner in the oven alone, as there were many customers inside waiting to be served. Unfortunately, as Mary opened the oven door to place her father's dinner inside, her beautiful long blonde hair brushed a naked flame, and in an instant the whole of Mary's hair was engulfed in fire. The baker heard Mary's screams and rushed to the oven room, and could not believe the horror of what he was confronted with. Mary was screaming in agony and hysterical. The baker grabbed an apron and tried to put the fire out on Mary's hair, but Mary was running up and down, not knowing what to do. Many of the customers inside the bakery heard the shouting and came rushing to the oven room to see what the problem was. With the door now open, Mary, in a panic, ran outside. This unfortunately only encouraged the flames, which were growing by the second, and that quickly spread to her clothes, shortly followed by poor Mary being entirely covered in flames. The baker and his customers chased Mary down Grape Lane and began to beat the flames off with anything they could lay their hands on, and eventually they did manage to extinguish the flames. Sadly, however, it was too late. Mary had been burnt beyond all recognition, but, unbelievably, Mary was still alive. The baker picked Mary up and quickly carried her to the local Seamen's Hospital, which was located only a few minutes away on Church Street. By now, Mary's skin was peeling off and sections of her skin was dropping to the floor on her way to the hospital. Upon arrival at the hospital, the nurses and doctors quickly went into action. They battled to save Mary's life, but sadly, there was nothing more that could be done, and poor Mary Clarke died in agony roughly 1 hour after admission to the Seamen's Hospital. Now, there have been many reported sightings on Grape Lane of Mary, some of which are quite recent, and almost all sightings reported have taken place in October, which coincidentally is the very same month that Mary met her horrific end. Also, almost all reported sightings of Mary seem to have the same characteristics, and that is of a blonde girl with long hair that appears covered in flames, accompanied by the sound of a crackling noise, similar to the sound of dry burning wood in an open fire, or dare I say, the sound of burning flesh. Reports state that Mary stares into the eyes of whomever she sees, smiles, and then suddenly disappears, leaving behind the most terrible smell of what can only be described as burnt meat. So, if you are ever considering a walk along Grape Lane in the early hours, and you are unfortunate enough to be confronted by Mary, heed the following advice. Remain calm, stay still, and be sure to smile back.